sweetheart that she is. Julie Jones. Julie has been a realtor in the Lake Norman area for around 28 years. And prior to that, becoming a realtor, she was a full-time director of music ministries. Today, demonstrating how your body speaks, she draws from her experiences of raising 2 children in a church environment. Who will sit with the children? Title of her speech. Join me in welcoming Ms. Julie Jones.
Do you know what a PK is?
Yes.
If you do, you know a little bit about their reputation. A PK is
Preacher's kids.
Preacher's kids. Well, I know about preacher's kids because I raised 2 of them. And quite frankly, now that they're out of the nest, I have kind of breathed a sigh of relief because I had double PKs. My husband was a minister, but I was also a minister of music. And when they aged out of the nursery, we faced a dilemma. Who was going to sit with our children in church? Been there, right? Well, Lauren was pretty easy. She was an easy kid, actually. If you told her to sit still for 30 minutes, she sat still for 30 minutes. And so I thought I was a really good parent, and I couldn't understand my friends struggling to maintain control of their children in church. And I would say, you all are just step up. You're the parent. Just tell them what to do. And I thought I was a really good parent. And then I had Jonathan. And I realized that I didn't know very much about parenting because we couldn't find anybody who would sit with him 2 Sundays in a row in church. They would see me coming and they'd say, no, I did it last week. And I thought I was going to have to resign my job just to sit with Jonathan in church until this wonderful man offered to let him sit with their family permanently. You see, he had a whole row of little boys. His wife sang in the choir, and he sat with those little boys. And you know, after 3 or 4 of them, what's one more, even if they are a PK? So he let Jonathan sit with him in church. So I am at the organ one Sunday morning, and it is during the children's sermon. And I'm getting ready for the anthem that comes next. So I'm shuffling my music around, and I hear this little chuckle go through the choir loft, and then I hear it in the congregation behind me, and I turn around to see what they're laughing about. And here is my 4-year-old son sauntering down the aisle. Now that morning I had dressed him like a little man. He was wearing a suit, 4 years old wearing a suit, cute. But he didn't look like he did when I dropped him off. His jacket was missing. His tie was askew and it was thrown over his shoulder. He was wearing a big pair of sunglasses that he probably lifted from a Sunday school room somewhere. His shirt tail was out, half his buttons unbuttoned, and his shoes also missing. But what was most noticeable was that his socks were about this far beyond his feet. And so he is strolling down the aisle, flipping his socks out as he walked, just totally self-absorbed by the cool way they did when he walked. And the entire congregation is just dying laughing. Well, later the children graduated to the point that they could sit by themselves in church, but they had to sit where I could see them so I could give them, the look. So another Sunday, I'm playing, it's Communion Sunday, and I see my sweet children coming down the aisle. There's group after group coming to kneel at the altar and be served the communion elements. And as I'm playing those quiet hymns in the background, I see my sweet children, and the little plate of wafers passes them, and they take the bread, and then the little plate of juice comes, and they take the juice. And, it just doesn't get any better. And in a split second, they take their little cup of juice, and they turn to each other, and they clink their glasses together and say, cheers! PKs, do they deserve this label? Yeah, they probably do. They probably do. But PK or non-PK, probably one of the most embarrassing moments came many years ago, middle of the hot summers, one Sunday in the middle of summer. Just see if you can picture this. A little girl about 8 years old, pink sundress, itchy crinoline slip, and white ankle socks with not one but 2 rows of ruffles. Feet that are used to going barefoot, crammed in some tight patent leather shoes, but it comes with a matching patent leather purse, so we must wear the shoes. She has sat patiently through the prelude, the call to worship, the hymn, the announcements, the offertory, the doxology. And now we have come to that portion in the service called the pastoral prayer. You know the pastoral prayer. It's that 6-minute prayer with 45 seconds of content. Well, she's just about had enough. And so she begins to daydream because this is totally over her head. And she's thinking about those things that she brought in that patent leather purse. Some change, a couple of nickels, about 4 pennies, maybe a dime. A tube of chapstick because she's not old enough to wear lipstick yet. A sheriff's badge because you never know when you need to exercise authority. And a deck of players. That's what little girls carry in their purses. So while it's quiet and every head is bowed, she thinks, this Sunday, I'm not going to get in trouble for being squirmy and fidgety and disrupting the service. This Sunday, I have a plan. And so as every head is bowed, she reaches in that little purse and she takes out that deck of cards because Grandpa taught her this cool game called Solitaire.
Oh.
And so she divides the cards and she goes, who knew so many Baptists would recognize that sound? But PK or non-PK, let me just say, we're all going to one day meet Jesus. And when we do, I don't know about you guys, but I have some questions. I just have to ask him. Well, for one, you know, David, when he's looking down on that beautiful woman and she's taking a bath, Lord, do you not think it's hilarious that her name was Bathsheba? Just saying. Or I'll have to ask him, you know, children's church, that is such a great idea. Why did it take us so long to come up with a simple solution like children's church? And I'm probably going to ask him about labels. You know, PK or non-PK. Why couldn't we just drop the P and be K's? Kids. Why can't we just be your kids? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.